Hey guys, so it's Furry Support video 1. Some of these will be really short and some of these will be really long. This one I think is going to be about a mid-length video. So long story short, I put the capstone on ending a toxic relationship today with somebody who was kind of mean to me in a very subtle way, often. And the subtle way was that every time I would speak almost, this person would take an opposite stance from me, would argue with me, would do so in front of friends in public, would shut me down, would kind of sort of clandestinely attack. And this had been going on for some time, and I had kind of snapped at them a while back for doing it, and we had kind of an argument, and then they gave me kind of a half-assed apology that wasn't really an apology, but I took it. I went ahead and accepted it. And then they continued to do these things. And so my initial decision was to just distance myself and put them in a more like casual friend sort of space. But I found that when I did that, when I like ultimately left their group chat and I ultimately just kind of put some distance up, they would come and they would poke me. They would come and say cutesy little comments to me here and there on my art channel, on Bisky, on various different places. And a lot of times they were just short little vapid like compliments followed by them posting their own character stickers up to kind of sort of self-promote. And it wasn't okay. It was kind of invasive. And the reason it felt invasive was not that they were contacting me. The reason it felt invasive was we both know there's an elephant in the room. Both of us know. I mean, I very clearly left their chat. I very clearly was not contacting them and chatting with them on a daily basis like I used to. And, you know, I was literally giving one-word answers. And never once did they go, oh, something's wrong. Hey, what's going on? And so today I confronted them, and in confronting them I discovered that they absolutely knew what was going on. They absolutely knew. And they never thought, hey, maybe I should say something. And, you know, of course, there's mental health pieces here about this person, but those don't matter. The thing about it is, mental health is an explanation, but it's never an excuse. You are always responsible for your behavior and choices. So, and I say this as an autistic, anxious, PTSD-ridden, dyslexia person. So, you know, if I know that, then I think it's fair to have expectations of other people to act that way. We excuse people's behavior all the time. And the thing is, it's not about putting someone in their place. It's not about getting yours because you were wrong. If that's what you're doing, then yeah, you do stand to actually have to deal with some karmic scrutiny. But it's about doing what's healthy for you. And if somebody is toxic to you, then you need to really consider that relationship and decide whether or not that's worth it to you. Here's the thing. If you go into your memories and you think 5% of the time, 10% of the time it's good with this person, but most of my memories with this person are ones where I felt embarrassed or humiliated or targeted or attacked, or that there's always an argument, that they always seem to take the opposite stance, then you have a situation where they're not really your friends. They feel something else about you. It may be jealousy, it may be anger, it may be resentment, I don't know, but they haven't dealt with it properly and they're making it your problem when it's not. And that is kind of a form of abuse. So you need to then consider, you know, moving away from that person. And a lot of us have a hard time moving away from people like that because that kind of behavior is very subtle. It's not like they did something overt to you, but it is still narcissistic, it's still abuse, and it's still destructive. So you have to sort of make the courage yourself. You know, this is another piece of explanation, not excuse. You may be shy, you may have a hard time talking to people. And you may have a hard time confronting people, and everyone says, I'm bad at confrontation. But just like eating a food you don't like because it's healthy or taking your pills, you have to make yourself do it. There's no way around that. But you don't have to be the most eloquent person in the world to do it. You just state, hey, you're having a problem, you need to move away. You know, I'm gonna end this here. And then you do it. A lot of us have a hard time knowing that we have the value to expect better. And there's that feeling of, well, if I cut this off like this, what will happen? And the reality is nothing will happen that you don't invent in your own head. When I said what I had to say, it lifted a weight off my shoulder, and I feel really good about my choice. You know, now I've established a status quo where this person is to just leave me alone. If they don't leave me alone, I have that status quo to fall back on. So, you know, things are over. I don't have to deal with awkwardly responding to unwanted messages from them. And that's something that we need to look at doing. I think a lot of furries cultivate toxic relationships, but it's very important to remember this. It doesn't matter if you like someone or if they like you so much. I like a lot of people. A lot of people. Everybody has an A in my book to start with. So, that's not a real good gauge. The gauge is if when you interact with somebody on a regular basis, you don't feel good about yourself. It's the mirror, right? Every relationship you have is a mirror. And if the reflection that you get back of yourself is distorted, if it makes you feel bad, if it makes you generally not like yourself when you're around them, then that is a sign that you need to get out. You need to leave that relationship behind. And if you continue on in those toxic relationships, it will affect you. It doesn't matter how shielded you are. Two ways to leave. You know, one, you can do it quietly by putting distance between yourself and the person, but sooner or later you're going to have to do something that they see. And it's honestly more awkward to have an awkward off with someone than it is to just rip the Band-Aid off. And that's why today I decided that that was what I was going to do. It's also hard to disassemble something when it's become status quo. So if you let a behavior slide once, twice, 3 times, and then you go, hey, I don't like that, you set yourself up for attack. You can still do it. You can still say, hey, well, actually, I never liked it, but I wasn't comfortable saying so. And that is your way out. So, you know, don't think that you're stuck once you've let a status quo establish. But it's really important that if there's something going on that bothers you, it's easier to know, you need to know that it's easier to address it now than it is later, even if that means that you have to create the confrontation. So, I want to empower you guys to make the choice to move away from toxicity. And look, those of you who are like, well, I don't have anyone else in my life, get online, start interacting with people. You know, you don't have to settle for people who don't support you, for people who are toxic to you. You can move in to more healthy relationships. And yes, you may be alone for a little while if that's the relationships that you have mostly cultivated in your life, but it will change if you put the work in to change it. You know, I'm an exceptionally shy person. And after I left the situation that I was so isolated in with my ex, I hit a point where I was so low, and then I realized I have to get myself up and out of this. So I started making myself interact every day, post something every day, talk to people directly every day, comment on other people's issues every day. And slowly I start to find good people who saw me for who I am and gave me an honest and good reflection of myself back. And to those of you who are that, thank you. You mean the world to me. Cheers.